Hello and welcome to the first lesson in the home safety module. In this lesson, we're going to talk about whether or not it is safe for your loved one to live alone or to be left alone. So is it safe for your loved one to live alone? This is generally only recommended in the very earliest stages of their dementia journey. And at this time, we do want some sort of support. Whether it's a friend, a neighbor, a family member that can check in on them, it's really important to keep eyes on them. Many people with dementia can present very well, especially in the early stages, and you might not realize that they're struggling with things around the home. There's some few questions that you need to ask about your loved one if they're living alone. Are they managing their personal hygiene? It's not uncommon for our loved ones to wear the same clothes over and over again, to avoid showers out of fear of falling. These are things that we need to keep track of. How are they getting their necessities? Their food and their medication? And are they utilizing those things properly? Are they keeping unsafe food in the house? Are they taking their meds at the right time and dose? Are they still driving? Driving can be great and allow people to still have some independence and to get the things that they need and see friends and socialize, but we really need to consider whether or not it's safe for them to do so. Is there somebody that has ridden with them recently and seen how they navigate and how their reaction time is and if they're following the traffic laws? Is the home accessible and safe? We're going to talk about this a lot in the next lesson. Some of the things to look out for in the home that could lead to problems down the road. Are they a fall risk? And is there anything in place for if they do fall? Any call systems, any alarms, pendants, buttons, things like that? And are there dangerous items in the home? Chemicals, weapons, alcohol can all present really big problems for somebody, even in the earlier stages of dementia. So what are your options at this point? Your loved one's still living independently, but you notice that it might be time to get them some help. So early on, you can get some part-time in-home help, whether it's a family member, a friend, or someone from an agency that can come in and help out with the kind of more difficult tasks and times of day. So somebody that might be able to help them with bathing so they can do it safely, or laundry so they're not carrying baskets of laundry up and down the stairs. And this kind of gives you eyes in the home too that can notify you if things are progressing or if they do need more help. Most of the time, it does become necessary to move the loved one in with another family member or have a family member move in with them. So if this is possible for your family, you're going to want to start thinking about this very early on, shortly after the diagnosis. Try to figure out who's going to be the caregiver and what you're able to do to help. If that's not an option, if we don't have a family member in the area or somebody that can do that due to other commitments, you need to look into residential facilities. So often very early on in the journey, an independent or assisted living would be suitable. They're basically senior apartments that offer kind of varying levels of care. They can provide meals, activities, transportation, things of that sort. Or a memory care unit. Memory care units are usually locked down, they have security, they have higher staffing ratios, and they have programs designed for people in varying stages of memory loss. So if you are a caregiver living with a loved one, sometimes you may need to go out and run some errands or visit with somebody or do other things outside the home. So we need to ask ourselves if it is safe to leave our loved one home alone for just short periods of time. So this information here is from Home Safety for People with Alzheimer's Disease from the National Institute of Health, and it's got some questions that we need to ask. So does your loved one become confused or unpredictable under stress? Might they do strange things around the house? Might they try to leave? How are they going to respond to somebody not being there to direct them or keep them oriented? Are they able to recognize dangerous situations, such as fire or an intruder? And what would they do in response to that? Would they know how to use the phone in an emergency? Would they know who to call? Would they know how to get help? And do they stay content within the home? Do they show signs of agitation, depression, or withdrawal when left alone for any period of time? Or might they attempt to pursue former interests or hobbies that might warrant supervision? So if your husband had a wood shop and he's got all sorts of power tools out there, might he get inspired to go out there and start using them if there's nobody around to prevent him from doing so? One thing that I like to tell people is that everything works until it doesn't. Oftentimes people are able to live alone without issue until something really bad happens. And it's best to intervene before it's necessary. Like I said earlier, right when you get the diagnosis, you want to start figuring out who can help, what kind of arrangements you're going to seek out, and how we are going to care for this person. If you intervene earlier in the journey, they may understand and acclimate to the changes more easily. So if they can still understand why they have to move in with another family member, or have another family member move in with them, or move into a facility, it can often be easier to process when they're earlier on in their journey. And it's also much easier to plan when it's not an emergent situation. The last thing you want is some sort of emergency where you have to scramble around and try to find caregivers or find a facility. Many facilities have really extensive wait lists and processes for getting in, and you don't want to have to do that while you're up against the rope. So get ahead of these things and have some plans in place. So that's it for Is It Safe to Be Alone? In our next lesson, we're going to talk about household safety concerns and how we can work around them. We'll see you there.